Have you been asked to solve an equation using the quadratic formula and you're not sure what to do? Well, you've come to the right place because I'm Professor Capko and I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that in today's video. But first, I want to say I believe something great is going to happen for you today. And now back to the video. If you're someone who struggles with math, give this video a thumbs up. And that way I'll know that you could use some more videos like this, and it'll also help out with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you. In this video, we're going to solve this equation using the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula looks like this. X is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You might be asking yourself, what's all the a's and b's? Well, I'm going to show you. That is referring to the equation being in standard format. And in this case, it is. Standard format would have our squared term here, and then moving to the right all the way until we have our constant. So we have the squared term, just the x term, and then our constant, and it has to be set equal to 0. So when we have that, the coefficient in front of the squared term is going to be our a term. So it's a x squared minus, and the coefficient in front of the x term is going to be our b term, and our c term is our constant equals 0. So I've now shown you where everything is. If it's in this order, that means that our a, in this case, for this one, is equal to positive 2. Our b is equal to negative 5. Oh, by the way, this should be a plus. And because it's negative here, that means it's a minus here. So our b is negative 5, and then our c is equal to 3. So our standard form would be a x squared plus b x plus c is equal to 0. So now we've determined that our a is 2, our b is negative 5, and our c is 3. Now let's take the formula, which is going to give us our zeros. In other words, it's going to tell us what the x's are that will equal 0. And we should expect, because it's a squared equation, that we should have 2 answers. We shouldn't expect. So let's go ahead and fill this in. So I'm going to say x is equal to, and I like to use boxes, so I'm going to put a box here and put a negative b, labeling the box, plus or minus the square root of, and again, I like to use a box. I pulled out the b, and so I label it b, and that's a squared term, minus 4, pull out a box here, and that's a, and a box here, that's a c, and that's all under the square root. Draw my line, and I've got 2 times a box that's labeled a. So I've pulled out those a, b's, and c's, and I just left empty boxes that are labeled. Now I can fill it in with the information we've got here. So anywhere I've got an a, I'm going to put a 2. Anywhere there's a b, I'm going to put a negative 5. And remember, I had a negative in front of the b, and the b is negative 5. So don't just think, well, there's a negative already there. So it's a minus of a minus. That's why I like the boxes. So it will help you remember to put in the negative 5, and then there's a negative in front of that. This b here is going to be a negative as well, negative 5. And then for c, we have a 3. So far, so good. Let's clean this up a little bit. So I've got a negative of a negative, so that becomes a positive 5, plus or minus, square root, and we've got the negative 5 squared, and the negative this whole thing is squared, so a negative times a negative is a positive, so 5 times 5 is 25. So this becomes a positive 25 minus, and then I've got 4 times 2 is 8 times 3. So I'm just doing this a step at a time. And underneath here, 2 times 2 is 4. Right, so 2 times 2 is 4. Let's continue to clean it up. I've got x is equal to 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus, and then if I've got 8 times 3 is 24, all over 4. Our next step is go ahead and do what's under the radical here. So x is equal to 5 plus or minus, and I've got 25, the square root of 25 minus 24. 25 minus 24 is 1, all over 4. And what's the square root of 1? So I'm going to go ahead and split this into 2. I've got 5 plus the square root of 1, all over 4. And I've got x is equal to 5 minus the square root of 1 all over 4, right? Because I've got a plus and then I've got a minus. So here's the plus one where I'm adding it, and here's the one where I'm subtracting it. I just split it into 2, and as we said, we're going to expect 2 x's. The square root of 1 is 1, right? So we're going to rewrite this as x equals 5 plus 1 all over 4. And over here I've got x is equal to 5 minus 1 all over 4. Push it up a little bit more. We'll clean it up a little bit more. X is equal to 5 plus 1 is 6 over 4. And over here I've got 5 minus 1 is 4 over 4. We're getting very much close to the end here. 4 over 4 is easy. That's 1. So our x is equal to 1 there. And then we can reduce this, right? 6 is 2 times 3. And 4 is 2 times 2. The 2's cancel out. So my x is equal to 3 halves. So I actually have the two answers. X is equal to 3 halves and 1. We could check it by plugging those numbers back in to our original equation and see if it gives us a 0. I'm not going to do that here just as a matter of saving time, but that is how easy it is to use the quadratic formula. If you want to keep up with some additional things that I'm doing, go ahead and go to my website, AskProfessorCapko.com, and sign up for my free newsletter, and also subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Thank you.